This is the Yay or Nay Show with Alex C. A sports show for sports fans by a sports fan. And now, here is Alex C.
In a week of sports bombshells, today is no different from any other day. We had bombshells Monday. We had bombshells Tuesday. We had bombshells Wednesday. We got more bombshells today. I don't even know where to begin. I've got so many things, but let's do this. So the address to the Twitter page at Yay or Nay Podcast, the official podcast Twitter page address again is at Yay or Nay Podcast. Got a couple of questions up on there that have come back in regards to our Yay or Nay questions. Let's talk about those really quickly. Number one, do you think Ben Simmons would be good addition to the Brooklyn Nets? Now, here's the thing. Tonight, the game that everybody's been waiting for, Nets, Sixers. Ben Simmons, however, will be behind the bench. He won't be playing in tonight's game, still having back spasms and other issues. But again, the game everybody's been waiting for is going to happen. And I just saw and I'm not going to quote which one it was, but one of the betting apps that had the Nets favored by 7 points in tonight's game against the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, I'm going to say that I probably am thinking they're attributing that to expecting Kyrie Irving to go off tonight for another 45, 50-point explosion. And then, of course, Kevin Durant to be Kevin Durant and the rest of that supporting cast to outperform the supporting cast for the Philadelphia 76ers. So it's a possibility it could happen, but I don't know because you just don't know if Kyrie Irving is going to be able to go off for 50 because, if they D down on him, could make it hard. It could put all the weight of the evening on the shoulders of Kevin Durant. And again, these guys are still getting used to playing together. And they not only are getting used to playing together, but you're adding in Kyrie Irving, who's only there every so often, which is making it very difficult for them to be a cohesive team. So I don't know. We'll see. If Kyrie Irving can go off, maybe they can pull off the victory. I personally think Philadelphia comes off with the W tonight, but I could be wrong. Again, from what I'm seeing, Vegas has the Nets favored to win tonight's game against the 76ers, but I personally think that the Sixers are going to win tonight's game. They're just more prepared. I don't, again, think they're the better team. They're better prepared. It was easier for them to put Harden into the lineup and make it go. And again, for the Nets, it's going to take more time. Still no Ben Simmons. We don't even have a timeline, as far as I know, as to when we can expect to see Ben Simmons in the lineup. So I don't know if it's going to work for the Nets this year. They might have to look forward to next year. It might be over. It really, honestly, for the Brooklyn Nets, might be over for this year. Again, coming back next year, forget about it. It's going to be odds-on favorite time for the Brooklyn Nets one more time. They were the odds-on favorite this year, but again, James Harden gave up on him, and I could make the argument that if James Harden didn't give up on him, Kevin Durant comes back, you have the availability that you have with Kyrie Irving, and they were already a team that was gelled. I could make the argument that Brooklyn would still be the odds-on favorite this year to win the NBA Finals. But Harden left, jumped ship, went to the Sixers, pulled a Harden, does what he does. We don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. But the bottom line is, so right now at this moment, because of the move that James Harden made, it might be over for the Brooklyn Nets this year. They might have to look forward to next season. But again, the question is, do you think Ben Simmons will be good addition to the Brooklyn Nets? That's the way it is written, by the way. So I'm reading it the way it's written, verbatim. Okay, that's the way that I asked the question. So I'm not like messing up or anything like that. That is verbatim the way that it's written. Anyways, 86% of the people that voted said, nay, Ben Simmons would not be a good fit to the Brooklyn Nets. Again, I disagree. I'm not sure why these people believe that he wouldn't be a good fit. Again, maybe not this year. It might not work out. Doesn't matter. You don't got to win it all now. You definitely have the foundation to do it all next year if you're not able to do it this year. Brooklyn has probably the easiest offseason out of any team in the NBA coming up, without a doubt. So the next question that I have, do you like the Russell Wilson trade? 65% of the people that voted said yay. They do like the Russell Wilson trade to the Denver Broncos. We talked about this in depth yesterday. But again, not looking to go down that rabbit hole again today, but the fans agree 65% to 35%. Russell Wilson going to the Denver Broncos is a great trade. Another question that I have up on the podcast page. Do you think the Calvin Ridley punishment was too harsh? As you guys know, he got busted for gambling. I made the comment. Others have made the comment that, he got busted and he got suspended for a full year because it could hurt business relations between the gambling community and the NFL. And when you're doing something to endanger the monetary part of the business for the NFL, you're going to get the harshest penalty, which is a 1-year suspension. But when you don't do anything to inflict any pain on the bottom line of the NFL, like domestic violence, DUIs, breaking and entering, or any of those other things, then they look to get you back on the field as quick as possible. With that being said, again, the question is, do you think Calvin Ridley's punishment was too harsh? 75% of the people that voted said yay. They believe the punishment for Calvin Ridley was too harsh. Another question. Aaron Rodgers got a 4-year, $200 million contract. Did the Packers make a good move? Okay, self-explanatory question. Don't really need to go into detail about that one. 79% of the people that voted said nay. The Aaron Rodgers deal, not really a good deal for the Packers. Look, and I agree. And let me put it to you this way. The Aaron Rodgers Green Bay Packers deal is a bad deal because you're giving this guy $50 million a deal, $50 million a year. He is the highest paid player in NFL history, obviously the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And you're going to have to make a lot of moves that are going to have to basically get rid of a lot of stars on both sides of the ball and figure out how to replace them as best you can. So in other words, you're almost setting yourself up for a rebuild. Literally, that's what the Packers are doing. You, instead of a reload, you literally are setting yourself up for a rebuild. And you're paying a quarterback $50 million a year, and it's a quarterback who can't win in the postseason and who has not won a Super Bowl in who knows how long. I can't even remember the last time the Packers have won a Super Bowl. So he can't win in the postseason. And if you don't win a Super Bowl with a $50 million quarterback, then really you threw bad money out the window. It's really ultimately what you're doing because you got a quarterback that's getting $50 million a year. You're going to have to make moves that's going to move other players out. You're going to have to try and replace them, which again, essentially puts you in rebuild mode. You could try and finagle other contracts if you want to, but let's face it, you're not going to be able to keep most of the people that you currently have. You're going to be in a small version of a rebuild mode. You're not going to be able to rebuild enough. You already didn't have enough talent to make it to the Super Bowl anyways, even if you were able to keep last year's roster together, because that roster was not good enough. And I said it all year long that they weren't good enough. NFL analysts, they fawn all over Aaron Rodgers. So just because Aaron Rodgers is there, they're going to tell you that, oh, last year's team was definitely no, they weren't. No, they weren't. Eyeball test tells you all you need to know. They were not a Super Bowl team. That defense was not a great defense. That offense was not a great offense. And Aaron Rodgers is the greatest regular season quarterback probably in history. But let's face it, he is a below average quarterback when it comes to the postseason. And the postseason is when it matters. I don't care about Aaron Rodgers and his, accolades during the regular season. I don't care how great he plays. I don't care how many touchdowns he throws. I don't care what his touchdown to interception ratio is in the regular season. What matters is what can you do in the postseason? And Aaron Rodgers is a big failure in the postseason, and you just rewarded a big failure $50 million a year. And that is a bad, bad business decision. There is no quarterback in the NFL. Zero, zilch, nada, none, because Tom Brady's gone. There is no quarterback in the NFL worth $50 million a year. Absolutely zero, zilch, nada, not a single one. There is no quarterback worth $50 million a year, especially when it hurts you on the salary cap. And now you've got to make moves, and you're going to have to move a lot of players out. You're going to go into a mini version of a rebuild, and Aaron Rodgers cannot make up for what you're going to lose. He's not that good of a quarterback. He's not that big of a difference maker, and he's getting older. Those three things right there alone should tell you he's not worth $50 million a year. Now, again, going back to the poll question, Aaron Rodgers got a 4-year, $200 million contract. Did the Packers make a good move? 79% of the people that voted said nay. And again, it wasn't a good move. It absolutely was not a good move. So, is the Lakers' disastrous season on LeBron James' shoulders for picking the players? We all know about the Lakers. Let's not go down that rabbit hole right now. But the bottom line is 67% of the people that voted said, yay, it is on LeBron James' shoulders. You guys know he's been trying to win the war in the public eye, trying to make it look like it's Jeannie Buss and the general manager, and they're the ones who are failing the Lakers, and they built this roster, and why didn't they make any moves before, the end of the trade deadline and all that stuff? No, LeBron, why did you put this pathetic roster together? Why did you bring in the disaster that is Russell Westbrook? Those are things and moves that you made. You made them happen. And it's on your shoulders, the failure that is the LA Lakers. All right, now, again, like I said, bombshells. You want them? I got them. Let's start with this one. I ended yesterday's podcast. No sooner did I end yesterday's podcast, and then, bam, bombshells coming out of nowhere. All right. Number one, Carson Wentz goes to Washington. I didn't see that coming. Again, I did tell you there was a big question mark whether, the Colts would move off Carson Wentz, and we did have that discussion, but I didn't know for sure it was going to happen. Obviously, it's happened, and now you have a new setup, a new situation for Carson Wentz. Some people are trying to say that it's a make it or break it year for him. If he doesn't have big success this year, that it's going to be the end of his career. No, it's not. He's got 2 or 3 years to prove himself. He does not have to do it all in 1 year. I love how these sports media guys think that they can just throw blatantly blasphemous statements out there, and then everybody's going to abide by the blatantly blasphemous statement that they throw out there. It's ridiculous that these guys think they got that kind of juice, they got that kind of power. They don't. They don't. Carson Wentz has a couple of seasons, 2-3 seasons, unless he's just a total disaster this year and they just do absolutely nothing. Then maybe, he might be a backup quarterback sitting on the sidelines, whatever the case may be. But I doubt that's going to happen. Here's what I think is going to happen. Philadelphia is going to get better. No doubt about it. Jalen Hurts, Philadelphia Eagles, going to get better. Washington Commanders just got better. With the addition of Carson Wentz, the Washington Commanders just got better. So now you do not have a guarantee that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win the division. Dallas has always relied on the fact that they were in the NFC least, the worst division in the NFL. That's probably still going to almost kind of be the case, but you have 2 improved teams, and we all know how it goes in division games. And when you have 2 improved teams, I don't think Dallas can now sit there and think that they are going to get 6 guaranteed victories against the Giants, the Eagles, and the Commanders. They still might beat the Giants because we don't know what the Giants are going to do or be yet. They still have moves to make. But I like Philadelphia. They showed a lot of growth last year, and I think they're only going to get better. I like the move that Washington made, so now they just got better. So now all those Dallas Cowboy fans in the national media are probably going to have to swallow the pill a lot earlier this year once they start talking about Dallas and how they're one of the best teams in the NFL and how Dak Prescott's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. All the normal garbage that they talk where they're always wrong and they make themselves look foolish, but they continue to say it anyways, even though they make themselves look as bad as they do. They're going to eat that pill a lot earlier this season because the NFC East is going to be vastly improved and the Cowboys are not going to be able to rely on those victories. So outside of them beating up on below 500 ball clubs like they normally do, and with the fact that they're going to be competing harder in their own division, and then, of course, they're going to lose like they always do against teams with winning records, Cowboys might not even make the playoffs this year. They might not, unless they win the division. And even if they do that, you're going to be looking at another pathetic 8-win division team like we've seen in years past. So, again, Cowboys will once again be no threat, and they might potentially be overtaken by either the Commanders or the Eagles this year. You might see one of those two teams actually win the division over the Cowboys, and again, which would mean, in all likelihood, the Cowboys will miss the playoffs this year. One of those, they'll either make the playoffs or they won't. It's all going to be incumbent upon them winning the division. They're not going to get into the playoffs because they're one of the most outstanding teams in the NFL, and they not only win their division, but they have one of the best records. Let's make sure I make that clear right now. Absolutely not going to happen. Now, besides Carson Wentz moving to the Commanders, bombshells. Woo, that was one. Number two, oh, this one's a doozy. A woman sues Jerry Jones, alleges the Dallas Cowboys owner paid her mother to conceal that he was her biological father. A 25-year-old woman is suing Dallas Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, alleging that the billionaire paid her mother hundreds of thousands of dollars in 1996 to conceal that he was the girl's biological father, a secret that the lawsuit says she has carried her entire life. At the age of 1, the girl was bound to secrecy by a confidentiality agreement signed by her mother, according to the lawsuit. Jones denied in settlement documents that he was the biological father of the child, but he paid the woman $375,000 in exchange for confidentiality and had an Arkansas friend and lawyer named Donald Jack set up 2 trusts for the girl linked to her and her mother, keeping Jones' paternity a secret, according to the lawsuit, a copy of which was obtained by the 4-letter network. Now, a Texas judge ordered the case sealed this week after a motion filed by Jones' lawyer. The Dallas Morning News first reported on the lawsuit earlier on Wednesday. Alexandria Davis, who lives in Washington, D.C., filed her lawsuit against Jones, now 79, in Dallas County Court last Thursday. It says Jones courted her mother, Cynthia Davis Spencer, in 1995 when she was working at the American Airlines ticket counter in Little Rock, Arkansas, obviously. Spencer was estranged from her husband at the time, the lawyer says. Alexandria Davis has lived her life fatherless and in secret and in fear that if she should tell anyone who her father was, she and her mother would lose financial support or worse, the lawsuit alleges. Plaintiff has had to endure the endless public profiles of her father and siblings while forced to remain secret to everyone, including her closest confidants. Jones and his wife, Jean, have 3 children, Stephen, Jerry Jr., and Charlotte Jones Anderson. Jim Wilkinson, a spokesman for Jones, declined to comment. Davis Dallas-based attorney Andrew Bergman also declined to comment. Davis has asked the court to be recognized as Jones' daughter and to be released from the confidentiality agreement that her mother agreed to when she was a baby. It is hard to imagine what could be less in the best interest of a child than to enforce agreements that leave a child without a father and which prevent or legally punish a child from even stating who her father is, the lawsuit says. The lawsuit alleges that Jones abandoned and shunned Davis and forced her to live in secrecy after her birth in Little Rock on December 16th, 1996. Look, this story goes on and on and on, but I'm telling you right now, this is a doozy. And I'm telling you my opinion right here, right now, because we keep talking about suspensions being unfair, suspensions being justified. If it comes down to money and the NFL losing money, then all of a sudden people are looking at losing jobs and looking at losing ownerships and looking at, losing everything that they've ever known. And now when you look at other guys, players like, Deshaun Watson, Antonio Brown, Richard Sherman. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's a long list of people who've done egregious things, and yet the NFL is just looking to constantly put them back on the field. And watching what recently just happened to Calvin Ridley, I personally think that it's time that the NFL makes a stand. And it's time for them to send a message to the public that you actually care about people. Because all you've ever shown the public is you only care about the game, you only care about the bottom line. And as long as your players and your owners don't do anything to affect the bottom line, then you're okay with them remaining players, remaining owners. But if they do something to affect your bottom line, now all of a sudden you're ready to suspend them either for a year or for the remainder of their career. So I say that it's time for the NFL to show everyone that you actually do have a heart, you do have a pulse, and you care. And it's time to force Jerry Jones to sell the Dallas Cowboys. Because this story right here shows you that you've got a problem with one of your main owners and one of the biggest voices and one of the biggest celebrities that the NFL has in Jerry Jones. And you need to send a message to the sports universe that you have a pulse and you have a heart and that you will no longer stand for the good old boy network and the bad behavior of owners and players. And it is time for you to show that it's not just your bottom line that you're worried about, it's your reputation. And it's time to force Jerry Jones to sell the Dallas Cowboys. That unequivocally is the only thing to me that is acceptable after seeing this story. Because again, you guys got these players with rape charges and threatening text messages and domestic violence and DUIs and all these other things, breaking and entering, and you just continue to put them back on the field, put them right back in the product. Granted, you don't take a hit in ratings, and that's why you're okay with doing that. But more and more, as the younger generation comes up and the way they're coming up, I think it will eventually hurt you. It will eventually hurt your product. It will eventually stop eyeballs from coming to the screens to watch your product. And I think the younger generation, more so than the older generation, will be the ones that will actually boycott you or look at boycotting your sponsors. And then eventually it is going to hurt your bottom line. So if you want to curb all of that headache and you want to send a message to the sports universe that you have a pulse, you have a heart, and you care, you will make Jerry Jones sell the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I have to say on that. All right, I'm going to move on now. The NFL, staying with the NFL, informs teams that in 2022, the salary cap is going to be set at $208.2 million. Yes, you heard me correct. The NFL has now raised the salary cap for the upcoming season to $208.2 million. A significant increase from last year's salary cap, which was $182.5 million. So teams got a little more to play with. That should help other teams like the Green Bay Packers, who got some problems, lots of questions, lots of financial decisions to be made. And the raising of the cap should help them out a little bit, should give them a little bit of release. But again, I still think, and that's why I said what I said, that the Green Bay Packers are going to be in a minor rebuild, and Aaron Rodgers and his $50 million a year doesn't have the ability to make up for what they're going to lose. And he wasn't even enough last year. So if you would have paid him $50 million last year, it wouldn't have mattered. Even with that roster that everybody said was so dynamic, so great, so good. Because you got beat up and blown out in the first game of the playoffs. So Aaron Rodgers, not worth $50 million a year. Again, to me, I judge you by what you do in the postseason. I don't care if you're the greatest regular season quarterback. I judge you by what you do in the postseason. And Aaron Rodgers, I'm sorry, I get it. He has one Super Bowl victory. One. Other than that, Every other year since, Aaron Rodgers has been an utter postseason failure. One Super Bowl. That's it. Now, that doesn't mean he's not a franchise quarterback. That does not mean he's not one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. Ability-wise, he is. Ability-wise. But accolades, achievements, Aaron Rodgers is not. So, with accolades and achievements, not putting him anywhere near the top, that's why he shouldn't be getting the top pay. It's just common sense. It's just common sense. Arizona Cardinals released starting inside linebacker Jordan Hicks. I kind of personally see this as a surprise, to tell you the truth. Hicks, who's 29, played at a high level last season, registering 116 tackles and 4 sacks. But the Cardinals are making the move to give fellow inside linebacker Zaven Collins, who was drafted in the first round last year, more playing time. So again, the Cardinals are moving on from inside linebacker Jordan Hicks, a move that I am quite surprised on. But again, I think they're making moves, and they're going to move as many people as they can that are going to be more expensive, because I'm telling you, these guys are going to cave, and they're going to give the bag to Kyler Murray, because there's a lot of rumblings around town, and you got a lot of local media guys here saying that they should just give him the bag. Again, I don't think the local media guys here are people you really should listen to. That's just my personal opinion. But they're all saying that Kyler Murray should get the bag, and that it would be a mistake for the Cardinals not to give him the bag, because what would the Cardinals do for a quarterback if they don't have Kyler Murray? But again, that's why I say they don't know what they're talking about. He's still under contract. Force him to play this year. Franchise tag him the following year. And if he hasn't proved himself in those 2 years that he's worth a big bag, you move on from him. Just simply move on. Or if he doesn't prove it to you this year and you don't want to give him a 5th-year option, you could either give him the franchise tag or trade him or cut him. But all of the power is in the hands of the Cardinals, not Kyler Murray. But the local media here wants to act like Kyler Murray has all the power, but he doesn't. Again, which is why I say the local media here, I wouldn't really listen to them. They're just more fanboys than they are realistic, because the power in this particular situation belongs to the Cardinals. It does not belong to Kyler Murray. I don't know why these guys are acting like Kyler Murray has all the power. Staying here in the 602, 2 things happened for the Phoenix Suns last night. First and foremost, Devin Booker returned from health and safety protocol, and he had 23 points in his return, by the way, against the Miami Heat, the number 1 seed in the East. And the Suns beat the Heat 111-90. But not only did the Suns beat the Heat, not only did Devin Booker return from health and safety protocol, but the Phoenix Suns are the first team in the NBA to clinch a playoff spot. Yes, you heard me correctly. With a victory of 111-90 over the Miami Heat last night, the Phoenix Suns are the first team in the NBA to clinch a playoff spot. So big congratulations to my hometown Phoenix Suns. Now, more big news, and this one just dropped. This one just went boom right before I even took to the airwaves to start today's show. MLB Union reaches a tentative agreement on a new CBA. Yes, you heard me correctly. They are going to have a 162-game season in Major League Baseball. Yes, I'll say it one more time. You did hear me correctly. Breaking news. The MLB Union reached a tentative agreement on a new CBA. A 162-game season is going to be upon us. Now, Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association reached a tentative agreement on a new collective bargaining agreement today, ending the league's 99-day lockout of the players and salvaging a 162-game season. So with the end of the second longest work stoppage in the game's history, spring training camps will open on Sunday, free agent signings can begin Thursday night, and baseball will attempt to return to some semblance of normalcy after months of fraught negotiations. The deal materialized after talks ratcheted up this week when the league made a proposal that bridged the significant gap in the competitive balance tax, a key issue in the end stages of talks. A dispute over international draft threatened negotiations and caused the league to remove from the schedule another 2 series on Wednesday. But those issues were resolved on Thursday morning, this morning, and the league delivered a full proposal to the union, which it voted to accept. Now, I love this. I'm excited. I am so happy. I don't know if that means there's going to be spring ball. That's something I still have yet to find out. Let's go on and read just a little bit more here. So the final vote by the MLBPA's 8 members of the executive subcommittee and 30 player reps was 26-12 in favor of the agreement. The basic agreement governs almost all aspects of the game, but baseball's core economics were front and center in the labor talks. In addition to the new CBT, which increases from $230 to $244 million over the 5-year deal, the minimum salary governing players with less than 3 years of major league service will jump from $570 $570,500,000 to Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. My fault. $570,500 to $700,000, growing to $780,000 and a bonus pool worth $50 million that will be distributed among those younger players who have yet to reach the salary arbitration. So once again, for the players with less than 3 years of major league service, their pay will jump from $570,000 to $700,000, growing to $780,000, and a bonus pool worth $50 million that will be distributed among those younger players who have yet to reach salary arbitration. MLB had pushed for expanding the postseason to 12 teams, a plan to which the MLBPA agreed. Additionally, player uniforms will feature advertising for the first time, with patches on jerseys and decals on batting helmets. Other elements of the deal include a 45-day window for MLB to implement rule changes, among them a pitch clock, ban on shifts, and larger bases in the 2023 season. The National League adopting the designated hitter, a draft lottery implemented with the intent of discouraging tanking, draft pick inducements to discourage service time manipulation, and limiting the number of times a player can be optioned to the minor leagues in one season. So basically, they got it all ironed out. Finally, at last, we are looking at a baseball season. Now, ultimately, what does that mean is next? Well, what that means is next is this. Opening day moves to April 7th, and a full 162-game schedule will be played. Spring training camps open with a March 11th voluntary report date and March 13th mandatory date. Spring training games start March 17th. Oh, we are going to have spring training. Dope. Free agency to begin immediately once CBA is ratified. Oh, we're going to have lots of stuff to talk about there. Make no mistake about that, especially since they're starting so late. Playoffs expand to 12 teams beginning this season. The National League adopts the designated hitter starting this season, and the CBT expected to begin at $230 million and grow to $244 million. So there it is. Spring training is going to happen. How many games is spring training? Well, it doesn't specify that. I guess we'll have to wait to find out. But bottom line is, baseball is back. Thank heavens. Thank the baseball gods. Baseball is back, and it couldn't come at a better time. All right, that's going to do it for this week and today's podcast. We will be back at it on Monday. You guys enjoy the next few days. We'll talk again on Monday. This is Yayer Nation with Alex C.